Let's see, friends. It's on the hour, and we are going to wait a couple, no, not a couple, but one more minute to see if people are dropping in. I can see that people are still dropping in. So it's so good to see you, all of you. And if you're wondering who I am, since I have not been able to change my name is Anna Wallner, and I am a certified coach, and I will explain more about who I am in just a minute. But I'm still a little bit annoyed with the fact that I can't change my name. I completely forgot how to do this. So weird. So weird. But never mind. Let's just assume that I'm the life coach because I am. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. So let's start. It's 2:01. So I think we better get going because we only have an hour. So we need to cherish that hour, don't we? So if anybody else is dropping in later on, then we just have to welcome them when they come. Okay, welcome everybody to a Pay It Forward seminar with the Life Coach University. And as I said, for you people that just joined, my name is Anna Wallner, and apparently I'm completely incompetent in changing my name. So it's just Life Coach, it says. I did change it last time, but yeah, I obviously didn't remember how to do that. So I'm up in Sweden. I'm actually Swedish, and I coach mostly Swedish entrepreneurial women. And I'm the creator of the Business Mindset Program. Hence the title of all of these sessions that I run with the Life Coach University. And each and every one of them will have a different topic. So you can just go ahead and subscribe to all of them because we will go through different things. And I run these sessions twice a month. And before I continue, can someone just tell me in like the chat or in the Q&A if you can hear me? That would be good because it looks to me like you can hear me, but I don't know. Can someone please tell me? I'm going to open it. Yeah, okay, good. Super. You can hear me. Perfect. So that's why I'm looking over here because that's where I have my chat. So that's what I do. I run these seminars twice a month on the topic of business mindset. And this is a pay it forward platform. And that means that it's free. All of us that coach here on the Life Coach University, we do it for free. And the only thing we ask you in return is to pay it forward in some shape or form that feels good to you. And that can be telling someone about the platform, or it can be any random act of kindness or anything like that. So it's completely up to you, but we ask you to pay it forward. And if you want to go and have a look at other sessions that are available at the Life Coach University, you just go to lifecoachuniversity.com. So and there you can check out the fantastic variety of all the subjects that me and my coach colleagues coach on. So do that, but not now. Do that afterwards. And today, we are actually going to talk about how to create lasting change in our lives. And I am going to teach you a tool. I just lost that word. I'm sorry. I'm going to teach you a tool that I use and that thousands across the globe now use and have used to change their lives. And this tool is a foundation of the work we do as life coaches, at least the life coaches that are certified within the Life Coach School. And many of the coaches here in the Life Coach University are Life Coach School coaches, but not all of them. So there's a lot of different tools that are taught across this platform. So make sure you take advantage of all of them. So today what I will do is that I will teach you, or I will explain how you haven't created the change you want yet and using this tool. And I will also use this tool to teach you how you can change and create what you want. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we jump into everything, you can probably hear that my voice is a little bit scratchy, and I've had a cold the past week, and I hope and pray that I will not get any of these like cough sessions that I've been having, and I've prepared myself. So I hope that won't happen. But if it does, you just have to bear with me. We will roll with it and see where we go. So before we dive in, what we're going to do is that we are going to run at latest on top of the hour at 3 o'clock. It will be 3 o'clock here. I don't know what the time is where you are, but an hour maximum. And if you have any questions, you can write them in the Q&A box as you come to think of them, and I will answer them at the end. So what I will do is that I will first go through this tool with you so you get to know it. And I see some of your names on the attendee list, and I know you already know this tool, but it's always good to repeat it, isn't it? But for those of you who's not come across this tool before, it will be really, really good to have a new tool belt. And I will also, when I've taught you and like gone through this tool, I will give you some examples so you can see the power of this tool. And since this is the basics, we will apply this to anything in the rest, like in our lives. And since it's the basics, the examples I will do this time are not business related. They're rather like life general. So you can see how everything comes together. And at the end, I will, of course, teach you how to use this tool. But something that might be worth knowing is that I work with my clients on a 6 months basis to help them get to know this tool and to use this tool in all the areas of their life where they want to see a change. And it takes time to get comfortable with this tool and master it. And practice makes a huge difference. Somebody said practice makes perfect. We don't do perfect around here, but practice does make a huge difference. And sometimes you can have a very quick breakthrough in a very short amount of time. And sometimes it takes much, much longer. So there is nothing wrong with you if it takes time. Don't worry. So I hope this sounds good to you and that you're ready to dive in, because that's what we're going to do now. We're going to jump in. Okay. So let's go. Now I need to see if you actually see this as well. It seems like you do, right? Here we go. Pray for the voice. Okay, so the problems that we all come across in our lives is that we want to create some kind of change, right? But very often, we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to actually change. Or maybe there's not really a change we're after, but we are rather after like to accomplish something, or we've set up a goal and we know actually how to get there, but like what we need to do to get there. But we can't really make ourselves to do it, right? I meet so many people that go like, yeah, I have this long to-do list, but I just can't make myself do it. And the reason why we can't create this change is because we're looking for the solution in the wrong place. That's the reason. Because very often when I meet people, they think that they need to change what they're doing, that's the problem. So to actually change their behavior, they try to change the behavior. So we focus on the actions we think we need to take, but we don't realize that this is actually starting in the wrong end, so to speak. Because the reason we do anything in this world is because of a feeling. So the feeling is also the solution to our problems. And now you go like, what? Yeah, the reason why we do everything is because of a feeling. Because our brains are programmed to avoid negative emotion and to pursue positive emotion. That's what it does. And that's what has actually kept us alive all this time. So if we take a very simple example, that is normal life. Say you want to lose weight. I know this is a very, I don't know, very often brought up example, but it works. Everybody understands it. So say that this person wants to lose weight. So this version, this is the future version of this person. And this person weighs X kilos less than this person. So we want to go from here to here. And very many of us focus on the steps within here. That's what we do. But let's ask ourselves, why do we even want this? That's an interesting question, because it's not the kilos that are the problem. I promise you. But let's just go with it and say that your perceived extra kilos that you have. Why do you have them? Because you overeat. You eat too much. That's why you have them. So your body stores them as fat. Whether or not you think this is a problem is completely up to you. But say you think it's a problem. So why do you overeat? Well, either it's because of the over desire you have for food, or it's because of over hunger. But normally it's both. And these two emotions, the over desire and the over hunger, those two feelings are what drives you to eat. You with me? So what our brains do is that they want to experience the positive, like I said. They don't want to experience the negative. That's all. So in this example of overeating, the overhunger, that comes from unregulated hormones. And we won't get into that now. But the over desire is a direct result of avoiding negative emotions. And now you might go like, what? But say that you feel stressed, bored, sad, tired, you name it. And then what your brain does is like, oh, we don't want to feel like this. We don't want to feel bored or sad or tired. We don't like those feelings. Let's go eat something. So it creates a desire for food as a diversion. So the problem of your overweight is actually your feelings. And now you say, well, the problem is that I put things in my mouth. Yes, but that's an action, and the action is driven by your feeling. So if we sort out the feelings, the action will kind of take care of itself. It's a little bit like you break your arm and you have pains. And what can you do? Well, you can take painkillers and then you won't feel the pain. That's good, but it won't actually mend your arm. So a better idea is maybe to put a cast on it so it can actually heal, and then you can use your arm like normal. And that is a little bit the same thing. So if you take painkillers, that just solves for the pain. It doesn't fix the actual problem to begin with. And we want to fix the problem to begin with. But what do? People don't go to the source when it comes to overweight. And not just overweight, any problem. It's like when you try to manage your time or anything like that. What do? We try to fix our actions. That's what we try to do. So in this example, we try to fix our eating. We go on a diet, right? And that doesn't work, does it? For 97% of us, it doesn't work anyway, because we always end up where we started. So it might work for 2 weeks or a month or something, just because you really wanted to, and you're acting against your feelings. But after a while, it gets very, very tedious to act against your feelings. It's a lot of energy that you use to act against your feelings. And that's why 95% of us can't keep it up. So that is the underlying problem. We try to act against our feelings. That's what we're trying to do. But it's much easier if we take that energy and try to fix the feeling. Try to try to fix the problem, like why we eat in the first place. So we're trying to fix the root cause of the problem. That's what I'm trying to say. So the question is now, if we know that our feelings are the root cause to the problem, how do we fix them? And here, my friends, is where this tool comes in, right? You ready? And this tool, I say we, the coaches and people who use this tool, we call it the model. And this model that you see here, it's made up of a woman who's called Brooke Castillo, who's my teacher and my mentor. And she just put it into this current form. She didn't come up with it. This is nothing new. This people have known for thousands of years, or at least hundreds of years, that circumstances, they create, or they don't create, they trigger thoughts that we have. And the thoughts, they create what we feel. And like we talked about, depending on what we feel, we will act in different ways. And depending on how we act, we will get different results. So this is the flow. And everything that is in our lives can be put into one of these 5 places. And I will show you how. But before I do that, I just want to go through those really quickly so you understand what I mean when I say circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. So circumstances are neutral things that occur in the world. It's something that everybody would agree on. It's like the weather. Who's president in the United States? What people say. Because we could all, if we were standing around this person, we could all hear what this person said. So that's actually a neutral circumstance. We call them neutral because we can actually choose what we want to think about them, but we'll come to that. So the test for knowing if something is a neutral circumstance is if everybody would agree on it. If not everybody would agree on it, it's not a neutral circumstance. And some people always go like, but wait, murder, I don't know. Everybody always comes up with like most grimmest things. Like murder, that murder is bad. That must be a circumstance. But no, it's not a circumstance. Not everybody would agree that murder is bad, because then murder wouldn't exist. Most people think that murder is okay in some circumstances. Like if someone has done something, they deserve to die. Many people think that. So murder is not a circumstance. If person X was murdered, that is a circumstance. And that we can choose what we want to think about. We can choose what we want to think about that. But very often, we think the circumstances are the reason why we feel something special. So say climate change. Most of us wouldn't agree that, or all of us wouldn't agree that climate change is actually a neutral circumstance. But I would say, this is just my thoughts, of course, my thoughts, but we could measure that the temperature during the last 100 years has gone up X degrees. Let's say that's actually facts. Some people, like Donald Trump, would probably say that that's not fact, but most of us would probably say that that's actually statistics. You can actually read that and measure it. And we can have any thoughts we want about that. Trump might think that's a lie. And we might think that's horrible. And depending on what we think about that, we will get different feelings. So here, when it comes to climate change, a lot of us feel scared. And we think we feel scared about the climate change. But we don't. We feel scared because we think that the planet is going to be destroyed or something along those lines. That's why we're scared. Or we're scared because we're thinking that the climate will be so bad, so it will actually change the lives of our children, for example, or something like that. So the circumstances, they do not have like access straight into our bodies. They can't create feelings within us. We need to think about something first before the feeling creates, we get a feeling within our bodies. And then we can ask ourselves, what's a feeling? A feeling is actually just energy that moves in our bodies. It's just a sensation or a vibration in our bodies. That's what a feeling is. And if you think about, I usually take nervous as a feeling because that's something that a lot of us can access. We're like, we know how it feels to be nervous because it's, a lot of people describe it as a tingling feeling. And some people describe it as it goes up in your cheeks and makes you flushed, and it's warm and it's fast and it sort of makes you shaky or whatever. But that is the feeling. And that feeling will make you do different things. It will make you take actions or not take actions. It will keep you from taking actions. And depending on that, you will have different results. And the interesting thing here is that the key that you can actually control in this flow is your thoughts. And if you learn how to control your thoughts, then you can control everything flowing down from that. And that's pretty amazing, my friends. It's worth learning. So let's look at another example. And if you look, this is such a common example with many of my clients because they think that their to-do list makes them stressed out. And in this case, I've also incorporated it with the example we had before with the eating. So this is how the model could work for a person that overeats because of stress. So if we look at it, the circumstance, the neutral circumstance is the to-do list, say, just for example, that this person has. They have a to-do list with X amounts of things. And what they think about this might be, I'll never get everything done. This is too much. This is unreasonable. I won't be able to get all of this done. And then they feel stress. And when they feel stressed, they eat. Not everybody does this. Some people do other things, but in this example, we eat. A lot of people have this as a coping mechanism. So when we feel stressed, the brain goes like, we know what to do about that. We don't want to feel stressed. That's a negative emotion. So let's just go and eat something. And then we'll go get a dopamine kick and everything will be much better. But the problem is that the brain, in this case, just chooses a kick in the moment rather than solving the long-term issue, which is probably getting things on your to-do list done. And when we feel stress and use eating as a coping mechanism, we gain weight. So this is how we can use the model. And the model, what it does is that it brings awareness and it gives an explanation for why we have the results that we have in our lives. Because all the results we create by what we think. That's always the case. And awareness is the first step to creating any change that you want. And I have an example from my life that I wanted to share with you, because this tool has changed my life, and it has changed thousands of people's lives. And when I say this, people really don't believe me most of the time, but I have been such a martyr. It's unbelievable. Not always, but after I had my first two kids, I'm not going to have any more, but after I had my kids, this was horrible. And this was one of the models that was going on for me. And thanks to the model, I have been able to change this completely. And I will show you how I did that. But first, I want to share this. I don't know if you can see my handwriting, but I will read what it says. So my circumstance before, and it still is, was kids, home, laundry, to-do list. It was life in general. And during this period, and if I didn't learn the model, if I wouldn't have learned the model, I would probably still be in this model. Like this would probably go on for me still. But what I thought about all of these things was, I have to do all of this. Poor me. Because it was a lot of pitying going on. And when I thought I have to do all of this, I had this picture in my head how all of the things in my house and everything concerning the kids and my life and everything, what it should look like. And I thought, I have to do all of this to make this picture come true. And it made me feel like a complete victim. Complete victim. It was not very nice. And when I felt like this victim, what I did was that it was a lot of huffing and puffing going on. To be honest, a lot of huffing and puffing. I was also very reactive because it felt like I couldn't control it. Things they were just happening to me. So that made me very reactive. And I didn't take responsibility for my own needs. And I always put myself last. Also very like, oh, I'm such a victim. I need to take care of everybody, but nobody takes care of me. This is honestly what was going on in my head. And I blamed my husband. And I also insinuated that my husband didn't do his part, but I also didn't ask for help. I did everything myself. And what was the result I created of all that huffing and puffing and reactiveness and not taking responsibility for my own needs and always putting myself last and all of these things? Well, the result I created was that I did everything myself and I created my own victimhood. That's what I did. And when I learned the model, and my first coach, her name was Cara, or it still is, she showed me this and she coached me on it so much. And when I saw it, I wanted to change it immediately. It was so uncomfortable to see that I created my own victimhood. And to want to create like a change, like make it happen immediately, that's normal. We want to do that. But the awareness is what will actually help us change. So we need to be curious about it. And I always say to my clients that curiosity and compassion is what actually will help us to create this change that we want. So, okay, let's create the change because time is of the essence, right? So let's take my example. And here I have actually prepared, oh, where did it go? There. I haven't filled everything in, but I filled most of it in because if I would have written this as we were speaking, it would have taken ages. So as you can see, we have the same circumstance. There is the same circumstance here. But what I wanted when I was living in that model, what was my problem? My problem was that I felt like a victim. I did not want to feel like a victim. So what I wanted to do was to change the feeling. And your change can be any of these other ones. Maybe you want to change the action or you want to change the result. And many of us wants to change the circumstance. Don't go there. The circumstance is something that is out of your control. You can't change the circumstance, but you can change everything else. So let's focus on what we can actually change, okay? So for you, it might be an action you want to change. I had a client that wanted to stop biting her nails, for example, or you want to change the result. That is very, very often the case. But in this case, I wanted to change the feeling. So what I wanted to change, I wanted to go from feeling like a victim to feeling strong. That's what I wanted to feel. So if I could feel strong instead of like a victim, I thought that if I felt strong, I would take care of myself. I would drop all of these have tos. And I did. I did drop all of the have tos. But I also kept some of them, but I changed them to want tos. A huge difference, I want to say. I also stepped out of my box, so to speak, so I could actually see all of the things that my husband did do and that I didn't do. And I come up with a huge list of things that he does that I don't do. Because I was very much in the headspace of, I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this, and he doesn't do any of those things. But when I looked at it and stepped out of my own box, so to speak, I could see all the things that my husband did. And I also focused on what was important. Like, okay, when it comes down to it, is this actually important? No. Okay. I also discussed things with my husband. I asked for help. I delegated things. And I said what was on my mind, and I took responsibility for my own needs. And what was the result I created? The result was that I created an experience that I wanted. So what is the missing line? What did I think? What did I think that made me feel strong? Now you can't answer it, so I'll just write it in. Because what I changed it to was that I'm responsible for my experience. Excuse my spelling. I'm not good at spelling in Swedish either. No, so that is what I did. I changed the thought. And when I thought I'm responsible for my experience, I sort of took everything that I had previously just put out there, Like it was my husband's fault, and it was my kids' fault, and it was the patriarchy's fault, and it was everybody's fault, but it was not mine. And that when I thought that all of the power was outside of me, I felt like a victim. But when I started to think that I create my own experience, then I felt strong and I could do all of these things. And that made it made all the difference, both for me internally and also in my relationships, and in so many ways, my relationship to others, my husband, and to myself. So the key to the universe, I would say, or the key to your life at least, is to learn how to control your thoughts. And the model helps you to pinpoint what thoughts you are thinking and what results they create, so you can choose a different thought and practice it with what do you say? With purpose. Like you can practice it every day and you can change it just like I did. So this, my friends, is the self-fulfilling model. We very often call it the self-fulfilling model because what you think always in some way or the other will pop up in your result. And there are so many more ways and details that I could teach you on how to use the model, but 1 hour is not really enough. But this is the basics to everything. So if you want to learn the model for real and actually practice it and put it into your own life and create these type of changes, you just need to start working with a coach that uses the model, basically. But now you know what it looks like and you can try to use it for yourself, because this is an extremely good tool to use when you self-coach. And if you don't know what self-coaching is, that's actually taking a look at what is going on in here, actually looking at it, preferably writing it out, having a look at it, and choosing what thoughts you actually want to believe. Because our minds, they are a little bit, to use my mentor Brooke's analogy, she says that the brain is a little bit like an unsupervised toddler. If you ever had a toddler, you understand what I mean. They run around and they can do so many crazy things. They can have sharp objects. They can be hurting themselves or other people. They don't have any sense of consequence. Like, if I do this, what will happen? No. So the brain, it just thinks things. And as long as we just stand there and receive what our brain serves up to us, we will also get the feelings that accompany those thoughts. But if we take control over what we think, we can be a little bit more in the sense of being at a buffet. So you have all of this amazing food and you can choose what you want to eat. If you don't like shrimps, don't eat shrimps. And it sort of translates into, if you don't want to think a thought, don't think it. And this is, of course, a trick on how not to do this. But what I'm trying to say is that you can actually learn how to pick up the food that you want to eat. You can learn how to pick up the thoughts that serves you, that gives you the result that you actually want. So this is a foundational skill that you need to know, and you need to know how to use it to be able to create the results you want in your life. So this is well worth digging into and learning how to use this, for sure. So that's actually what I have for you, my friends, when it comes to the model. And yeah, also what I wanted to say when it comes to the self-coaching, like, yes, you look at your thoughts. That's what you do. You write them out. And then in this picking and choosing what thoughts you actually want to use, then you can use the model, because you can put the thought here in the thought line, and you can ask yourself, what feeling does it create for you? And when you feel like that, how do you act, or how don't you act? And when you act like that, what result does it actually give you? And is that a result you want? If it is a result you want, perfect. If it's not a result you want, work up the model and see what you can think instead. And always remember that it's the feeling that is actually driving all of your actions. So it's very good to learn how all of these feelings actually feel within you. So you can pinpoint what feelings you actually want to keep. So what we do when we self-coach is very much like general maintenance in our brains. It's like having a house that you need to clean. You constantly need to clean it. You can't just clean it once and then it will stay clean. But you can, of course, organize things so it's easier for you to clean. And when I say organize things, you can just sort of, this is also something we work on. Like, you can change, you can look at, what do I believe? Do these things that I believe serve me? If they don't serve me, then I can start to believe something else. I can put up a bookshelf. I can work on this belief, so I then can put things in it, so it's easier for me to clean when things come up. I'm realizing that I'm using a lot of analogies that are maybe not making any sense to some of you, but I'm sorry about that. So, okay, my friends, now I'm done. And I'm so glad that you were here and invested this time in yourselves, and that you, oh, now it comes. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's time to wrap up, my friends. I'm going to take one of these and hope I lost the last minute so I can answer your questions. Okay, now I'm crying too. That's nice. Okay, so do you have any questions for me? I'm going to have a look in the Q&A. Here we go. Anonymous says, I love your spelling. You're funny. That's on me. Never been a good speller, but I don't really care about it much either. If I would have, practiced more. Okay, what's next? So how do we actually use this on ourselves? Yeah, how you use this on yourselves is, like I said, with the self-coaching. So what I would suggest you do is that you sit down, and this might be a little bit difficult in the beginning, but the more you practice, the easier it gets. Sit down with a pen and paper, write down everything that comes up in your brain, all the thoughts that are spinning around. This is also a very good remedy for you people that have like a storm going on. And if you do, you know exactly what I mean. It's just like things spinning around, and it makes you extremely stressed out. Normally, it's not that many thoughts. that are spinning around. It's just like 3, 4, 5, but they come in different variations. So write them down, have a look at them and question them. That's my suggestion. So when you have all your thoughts written out, then you can put them up in a model. And then you just put all your thoughts, they go in the thought line, of course. Ask yourself what feelings they create, what actions you do when you feel like you feel, and what result that creates for you. And remember that the result is always connected back to your thought in one way or the other. Always. So when you've put things in the model, and this takes some time to get used to using it, then you can decide, do you want to keep this one or do you want to throw it away? Do you want to replace it with something else? So that's how I would suggest that you use it. And if you think the model is a little bit complicated, because it is in the beginning, or at least I thought so, then you can always just write out all your thoughts, and then you can just question them in the easiest ways. Like, is this true? Can I see it from any other angle? How could I solve this? And your brain will probably tell you that you don't know. Then you can always ask it like, okay, but if I knew, what would I do then? So questions are really, really good if you feel like the model is a little bit advanced for you. Okay, next question. What if I can't get to a new thought without pretending or tricking myself? Very good question. And I'm really glad that you brought this up. One thing that is crucial when you're going to shift your thoughts is that you need to believe it. Because if you don't believe it, it won't create your feeling. So your body is like the, what do you call it? The one that indicates weather? Barometer? Is that the word? I don't know. I hope you understand. You know, the thing that grandma had on the wall that sort of indicates if it's storm or if it's calm or whatever. So your body is like that type of tool. So you try your thought, and a thought is just a sentence in your brain. So what you do is that you say it to yourself in your head. And if it creates the feeling you want, then it works. If it doesn't work. And then you need to think something else. So in this case, when you say, what if I can't get to a new thought without pretending or tricking myself? Then you need to find something that you can actually believe. So let's take an example. Let's say, let's go back to the weight loss. It's just easy because that's one of my biggest breakthroughs. So say that you believe that I can't lose weight. And then you want to shift your thoughts to, I will be at my goal weight. And then your brain just goes like, no, that will never happen. You've never done that. It will never work. The best you've done is losing 5 kilos or whatever your brain tells you. So you want to go from where you are now to believing that I can be at my goal weight. So what is something that makes you feel a little bit better than you do now? Maybe you can't go from like feeling crap to feeling absolutely fantastic. That's a big of a jump to ask for. But maybe you can feel curious. So maybe you could think, what would it look like? What would the first step look like to going on this journey? So you create like a small step towards, I will be at my goal weight. Because if you don't believe that, don't try to think it. It's like affirmations. People go like, oh, just stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself you're a goddess. Yeah, but if you don't believe you're a goddess, it won't work. I'm sorry. You need to check in with your body. So the question is, what will bring you over this void from here to here? What will bring you over? Maybe it's curiosity. Maybe that feeling will change. Maybe it's curiosity now. And then when you've created some type of result, maybe that will be motivation or momentum, or I don't know. So create something that will start you on your journey. Check into your body and see what the body is telling you. I hope that answered your question. Then next, the brainstorm. Yes, I have those. So good to know that it's actually just a few thoughts in different variations. Thank you for this. This feels so liberating to hear. Yes, I know. I just want to say that for me, I went around and had this storm in my head constantly. It was like warm carbon dioxide. That's how it felt for me. And it was actually a mix of to-dos and negative self-talk. That was what was spinning around. It's like, you're not good enough. You should have done this. You should have done that. You weren't perfect at this, blah, 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 blah. So many things. And then you need to remember to buy milk. You haven't done the laundry and all of those things. And when you actually write them out, you can have a look at them and you can decide if some of them actually matter, because many of them don't. So that's my my suggestion to you. If you have the brainstorm, write it out. And Anonymous and Tindy say, barometer. Thank you. That's what it's called, barometer. Okay, so we've got 2 minutes left. And luckily, we don't have any more questions. So that is so good. So, my darlings, this is the end. I'm so glad that my voice actually worked all the way through. And if you feel like you would like to go deeper with this and you would like a coach and you think that I would be a good fit for you, I do have some room before Christmas for some new one-on-ones. If you're Swedish, you can just go to my website. It's annawallner.se and book a consultation call. And if you're international, I do still work with some international clients, even though you can't go through my business mindset program because that's all in Swedish, but I can take you through it anyway. Then you also go to my website, annawallner.se, and you scroll down all the way to the footer and click contact, but with a K, and there you'll find my email. So send me an email and we'll get your consultation booked. No worries. And with that said, I just want to ask you once again to pay this forward. Pay it forward to someone else today or tomorrow if it's late. And it doesn't matter how you do it. You can do it in any shape or form that makes sense to you. So please pay it forward. And all the coaches here at the Life Coach University, we're all here for you. So go and book your next session at www.lifecoachuniversity.com. So no only lifecoachuniversity.com. So that's on the hour, my friends. It was so good to see you. And I hope to see you next time in 2 weeks' time. So make sure you get booked on for that one. Okay. Lots of love, huh? Kisses.